What type of lights did Noah have on the ark?
Bright ones? I don't know.
Floodlights.
That's a good one.
I tried. I said I found a good one.
Yeah.
Welcome, guys, to Listen, Learn, Champion. We have a new guest today. We have Madison.
Hi, everybody. I listen every week, so I'm really happy to be here.
I'm so glad you're here. I feel like we have someone new all the time. I swear Felicia is alive and well.
Yes.
You know, just having children in the house all the time. It happens.
It does.
We have a new baby of the church. We're so excited and we're so happy for Alyssa and Dale.
Yeah, congratulations, you guys.
Hopefully we'll see you soon. I know we will.
Yes. But enjoy your time off.
I'm excited for this week. The book we didn't pull from it that much, was Poverty, Riches, and Wealth from Chris Valentine. I'm going to say it wrong. I'm sorry. It's like $10 on Amazon. He kind of said it's just a really good book in general to read for like wealth and money and how to steward your money well. Mm-hmm. And speaking of stewardship, that's what we're going to talk about. I'm so excited. But let's first start with Colossians 2:6-7. In the same way you received Jesus by faith, continue your journey of faith, progressing further into your union with him. Let your roots grow down into him and let your lives be built on him. I love how he kind of highlighted on journey. I think he cracked a joke that if the church wasn't named Champion, it would be Journey.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, great. I love this. So I looked up the definition of journey on Google, and you know how Google does different questions, prompts. One of the prompts was, what does journey mean in life? And I loved that. I was like, oh yeah, let's see what Google has to say about this.
Right.
So it says the journey through life is filled with wonder, challenges, broken hearts, extreme highs and lows, celebrations, special moments, and memories that define our experience as a human. It is these events, planned or unexpected, that impact our travels and define our purpose. I just like that breakdown because you never know what life is going to throw. We're all on different journeys as people. We have different personalities, different stories, but we're on a journey. And as Christians and as sisters and brothers in Christ, we're kind of on the journey together.
Exactly.
And so kind of our main focus for our podcast and breaking down this weekly focus is how do we come alongside Christ to steward our journey well. Mm-hmm. And you have the definition of stewardship, right?
Yeah, let me pull it up
Let's
for
kind
you.
of break it down for the people.
Yeah, so stewardship is the job of supervising or taking care of something, such as an organization or property.
So when he first said that, what sparked your mind when he read the definition in the sermon?
Well, I think it sparks responsibility. We each uphold some sort of responsibility. Like you just said about journeys, everyone is on a different journey in their life, and everything that you just listed with your Google question, I think everyone can relate to many of the things that you said, or said that they've experienced some of those things in each journey in their life. I think it's a responsibility that we all need to uphold. So I really love that the weekly focus broke down what that looks like for each of us individually and what those responsibilities look like.
That's awesome. So we did the parable, Luke 19:11. So he kind of read through the parable. I'm not going to read through the whole parable on here, but he kind of pulled three kind of I guess, challenges. And he was like, your perspective is everything. Can you handle it? And God gives the reward of stewardship. And who told you that? And get God involved. And those are just kind of his main things. Who told you that you had to have that perspective of God? Your parents, your people that influence you. Find a relationship with God yourself, because I promise you, it might be different than somebody else has told you. When you make decisions, get God involved. When you steward well, you're rewarded with more responsibilities, but we'll talk about that. But we kind of want to hound in closer into how to steward your time, your talent, and your treasure. We kind of texted privately before we did this, but you kind of just poured your heart into the opportunity of what that looks like. And I just would love to hear you going into that, the opportunity of stewarding well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, a huge part of stewarding well is giving. And it can be such a sensitive topic to
Absolutely.
discuss. And we went to breakfast after church yesterday, and I grew up in a giving household and grew up in a family that went to church. And even when my parents had nothing or their parents had nothing, they would always give something every single Sunday, even if it was a penny or it was time. If you don't have funds to give, they gave a little bit of something. And teaching you and learning and maturing in the aspect that, yes, it's in the Bible and these are responsibilities of how to steward well with your time, talent, and your treasures. But if you view it as, I have to give something again this week, or, this is something I have to do. No, you view it as, this is an opportunity to invest in the kingdom of God. It's an opportunity to invest in the church. It's an opportunity to invest in yourself and your personal relationship with the Lord. And it's the trust in something that is valuable to you. So if you look at it as the opportunity of what the outcome could be of your giving in one way or another, I think it's a great mental aspect to look at stewarding well as, is to get excited about it and think, wow, I have the opportunity. The Lord has given me this talent, or the Lord has given me this time, or he has blessed me with these funds to be able to give back to the kingdom. I am so grateful that I have the opportunity to do this.
Yeah. And we've kind of talked about it on a different episode, where God's not looking, like, people are like, why does he want my money? Because I feel like when you hear the word giving, people are instantly like, oh, money. Like, why does he care about my money? Well, first of all, it's not your money. Like, he gave you the job, he's given you the life, he's giving you the opportunity, just as Madison has said, but he's looking for your posture of your heart. Like, are you putting him as your first? Like we say in church all the time, like, he's the king of your life. And if he's the king of your life, why would you not give him your first? And I love our church in general and how we kind of do our online presence differently, so that it's more like Trevor's talking to you guys.
Absolutely.
But in church, he talks about the story how Jesus pulled up a chair and watched people go to the giving. And there's this woman that comes with a penny, and I think they call it like the widow's money, or like the widow's penny.
Yes.
She had nothing, and it was the posture of her heart. She didn't go in there and was like, I have no money, here's my last bit. It was the posture of her heart, knowing that she serves a king who's greater than she is.
Yeah.
And she was just doing what she felt in her heart. Now, being that that's all she had, if you're a college student, that doesn't mean that you have to give your money, but give your time. Like, if you have the time to help set up chairs or break chairs down or hold the door, I promise you're going to have the coolest conversations with people within the church that would surprise you. And even those people that are older than you are going to get something from that conversation. And I learned that moving back, like the conversations I had with some of the people in the church that are older than me, they got so much from the conversation that I didn't even realize until 5 years later.
Yeah. And I think it's the humility of being able to come to the Lord. If you are giving in monetary terms, just like the beautiful illustration that you referenced, coming to the Lord and saying, Lord, this is what you have blessed me with, but this is all I have left.
Yeah.
And I trust, and I am investing in you, and I am investing in our relationship, because I know that I can't do it without you. And being able to surrender everything to him and trust that he will deliver. Can I go ahead and reference Luke?
Sure. Yeah,
Okay.
I love it.
And this is what we always go back to. And it's Luke 6:38. Give, and it will be given back to you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over, and poured into your lap. With the measure you use, it will be measured to you. So we've always said in our house, you cannot give God, but we try to every day. And whether, again, it's monetary or it's your time, or with the talents and the passions that the Lord has put in your heart, they're not there for no reason. And depending on the phase or the journey of life, I always think of Don't Stop Believing every time we say that. But every time, depending on where you are at on your journey, the Lord has given you something to be able to give back with.
Yeah.
Pray about it, figure out what that looks like, and ask him, okay, what direction do I need to go in? And how can I give?
So with you saying like what direction and how to give, let's transition into like the different ways. So there's time, talent, and treasure. So we're going to start with time. And so I have the definition because I'm like a big numbers person, definition. Like I try to tie things together when I read the Bible. And so the definition of time as a noun is the indefinite continued progress of existence and events in the past, present, and future regarded as a whole. It's also a point of time as measured in hours and minutes, past, midnight, or noon. As a verb, it's plan, schedule, or arrange when something should happen or be done. And I love that kind of representation because the first thing I instantly thought of was Jesus often went away into private, like the number 40 nights, 40 days, like he was alone, having time with God. But not only that, he was creating relationships. He was creating friendships. He was creating this group of men, 12 disciples, that he would leave and they would have each other. They wouldn't have each other if Jesus didn't steward well and created that environment. And when you are following Christ, you more often want to be more like Christ. And with your time, I love this saying, like, if you're too busy to pray, you're too busy. If you're too busy for a community, you're too busy. And that doesn't mean, like, you have to be at someone's house every week for 3 hours. Like, we have families, we have jobs. I understand that. But, like, you can pick up the phone and you can have a conversation with a friend. If your church has a Bible study group, join that group.
And one thing on that is when we're talking about time, treasure, and talent. Time, treasure, and talent. Time is so incredibly valuable. People think money is so incredibly valuable. And if I can't give that, what am I giving? Time you can't get back. There's a finite, just like what you said in the definition, there is a finite amount of time that we all have. You can't rewind it. You can't move forward, even though sometimes, depending on what area in our journey we're on, we want to click fast forward. Okay, Lord, what's next?
Hurry up.
What's next? Or can I go back to the last journey? But it is so valuable because there's only so much of it. So, and how you utilize it is something you can pray about with the Lord too. And okay, what value should I put my time into?
Yeah, definitely. The last thing on time is I feel like this is just like speaking for people in jobs that maybe they don't like, or they have coworkers they don't like. Jesus was often surrounded with people that did not agree with what he was doing. There's a verse, I forget where it was, like, you are hated because they first hated me. Like, it is true.
I love referencing that.
I promise you there's going to be people that you disagree with, whether you are a believer or you're not. But it's the way you handle that situation and even handle that opportunity. Like, you speak grace over that person. Like, I say this all the time. When I'm driving, it makes me mad, but I handle my opportunities well. Okay?
And one last thing on that is, if you continue to be consistent and there are those people that constantly give you pushback, I tell my boyfriend this all the time at work. He's a driver, and it gets really, really tough, and there's a lot of negativity. So you know what? You were called to be the light in that situation. Some people will come to you one day and ask you, why are you the way that you are? Why are you so positive all the time? It's kind of annoying, know? And then it gives you the chance to explain, okay, well, I spent the time with the Lord, and now he's helping me through this hardship and the journey that I'm on.
I love that you mentioned that, because I listened to a sermon once that was like, why do people not celebrate the mundane? And because we live in such a society of chasing, like, the person that's doing the coolest thing because you want to be like them. But your life is just as special in the mundane, and you should celebrate that. When you're at work and there's someone that's negative and you're being positive, it annoys them. But trust me, it annoys the enemy more, and you're winning. So
absolutely,
keep going, keep doing it.
Be the annoying positive person. Trust me, it is worth it every single time, because you have no idea. It could be 20 years down the road, someone's going to come back to you and say, you know what, you saved me with your positivity.
Absolutely. The next one is talent. So it's a noun. Okay, so I hated nouns and verbs and all of that, and I still get confused on what's what. But I'm going to tell you it's a noun. It means a natural appetite or skill. And then it kind of says he possesses more talent than any other player. People possessing talent, being able to be the best. I just kind of love that, because I'm like, Jesus gives you a natural talent, something that burns your heart. And like we keep talking about journey, like your journey is different than mine. How we found Christ is different, but you have a talent and you have a burning for your heart. Like we both want to reach people, but we came from different journeys of life.
Absolutely.
And that doesn't mean that we don't have the different talents. Like we came here, we're both here. We obviously have the same talent. We just use it differently, but it's the ache that God gave both of us.
Absolutely. Wanting to reach further, and the beauty of it. And like you said, you have guests here all the time. That's incredible. And what you can do in this space, because someone might relate to your journey more than they'll relate to mine.
Yeah.
I might be on the same journey that you were on 5 years ago in the next 15. And I might say, okay, Natasha, tell me about your journey in that time of life, because now I'm in it. And that's the beauty of the collaboration and being able to talk to, growing through what you go through, and being able to attest to that in the future. Lord, why are you putting me through this season? Well, it might simply be for someone else that's going to come into your life that you don't even know yet, so that way you can help them walk through it with Christ at the center of it.
Yeah. So I just thought of this. If you steward your time well and you found community and you have found friends, you will steward your talent well, because they're going to push you. Like this is just I'm going to figure out how I say this. If you are starting off in a church and you want to join a small group, you might find a more mature Christian, just meaning that they're in their faith a little bit longer than you. They're going to help you learn how to steward your talent, so that when you are stewarding your time and meeting other people, you'll be able to learn from that person how to teach the other person to steward their talent.
Yeah. And if you are new to being a Christian, that is one of my favorite things in the whole entire world, is to help someone take their first steps with Jesus. And you learn something new every single day. You can never know it all. And that's the beauty of what we believe in. And it reinstates, seeing the curiosity that we all should continue to carry every single day about Jesus and just yearn to know more. Yeah. That's the beauty of it. And I think I just thought about this too. It might be good to go into some talents, because some people watching might be saying, I really don't have time. I'm really not in a place that I can give financially, but I don't know what my talent is. I don't really know, how can I give if I really don't know what of these three things I can do. So talent, and maybe we can bounce back and forth. And so different talents can be.
Yeah. So I think a good talent is communication. This is just one segment of that. Like this happens honestly because of the church and because they've given, and that we can use our talent this way. But if you're really good with just talking with people, say, hey, I would love to kind of lead a small group. I would love to help hold the door and just talk to people. I would love to be the person at the welcome desk so I can talk to people. Those are just small things.
I love kids. Yeah. And I feel led to lead kids into Christ. That's a talent. The Lord has put a desire in your heart for that. Design. Someone might be very talented with design and computers and technology. That is not my talent completely, fashion somewhat, but there are so many different talents that you might not even consider. People think dancing, singing, things like that. It doesn't have to be something on a stage. There are so many talents.
Like you're a mechanic.
Exactly.
That's freaking amazing. If there's someone at church or someone on the side of road and their cars broke down and you feel comfortable pulling over to help them, that's just showing light in a dark situation, because I know if I was on the side of the road, I would be scared.
Yeah. And you're giving time and talent.
Exactly. And I know that I was that girl on the other side of the camera, and I was like, I want to do that and I want to be that. Not everyone has that dream, but don't forget, you have every opportunity every single day in a mundane space. Yeah. Those are just as important as this. Yep. Because you're going to do more than I ever will. Because you're seeing people in the everyday setting. I only see you for 30 minutes. Yeah. So anyways, I love that we kind of went into that. The next one is treasure. And the noun is a quantity of precious metals, gems, or other valuable objects. And then it says a sentence, and I love this. It says, the ransom was to be paid in diamonds and treasures. We literally serve a king that sent his son to die for us, and he did the ultimate price. And he just wants you to posture your heart. And so when we say that, like, I just mean like being humble and saying, I really messed up.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not stewarding my time well. I love how Trevor kind of said, like, if you're late to work, like, you can steward your time better.
Yeah.
What's another really good example?
Well, and I think going into posture, look at us, for example, right? We're having a conversation.
Yeah.
Granted, if I turn away, you can still hear me in the microphone, but imagine we're not like that.
Yeah.
If I was facing the wall, I wouldn't be able to receive what Natasha was saying to me.
Really good.
I could hear it, but the position of where I am and how I'm standing, that's kind of the reflection of the posture of your heart. What are you
really
open
good.
to? You know, if your nose is in the wall and your heart is sunken down, how much are you really going to receive? And it kind of goes back to the whole mindset of opportunity. Again, this is an opportunity for us to continue to develop a relationship, to be able to bring more to anyone watching who needs to hear what we're talking about.
Yeah.
It's all about the positioning and the posture, which I need to work on mine.
I know, right? Hey, we got these chairs for that reason.
But if that makes sense.
No,
and
absolutely.
It's the positioning and what you're open to.
Listen, I'm not going to sit here and say that someone watching this isn't hurt and they're not struggling and they're like, I don't know how to have relationships with people because people have hurt me. I understand that. Hurt people hurt people. I'm hurt. She's hurt. We're hurt for different reasons, but God will work through you to open your heart and soften your heart. You have to ask him though. And the same way with Madison saying, like, if my nose is in the wall, like, I'm not in the position to listen. If you're like that with God and all you're doing is praying and you're not allowing him to speak over you, you're not receiving anything. And there's no point in him giving you anything if you're not in the position to receive and listen.
And maybe it means making a change. I mean, I'm guilty of it. We can all be an Eeyore. I can't remember if that was referenced in a weekly focus or if someone told me this a couple weeks ago, because I've had a lot of changes within the past couple weeks of my life too, and that allow me to be here today, which is awesome. But going through life, and if you just keep going every single day saying the same thing over and over and over again, wondering why nothing is changing, check your posture, check your stance, and instead of walking around just saying, gosh, nothing's ever changing. Okay. Well, maybe look into your time, talent, or treasures and say, okay, something hasn't worked for this long. Maybe the Lord's trying to show me something. Maybe the Lord's trying to show me, okay, I want to help you, but I just change this one thing.
Yeah. I mean, we say it often, it's 0 to 1, 1 to 2, not 0 to 10.
Yeah.
And when you are shifting your mindset, it's an everyday thing.
Yeah.
So like it's a routine. So if you are like, okay, I really want to treasure my time better. Okay. So let's say you're the person that's late to work. One day, let's get there a little bit earlier. Then the next day you get there a little bit earlier. Every day you're making the mental decision to do what God's asked you to do. If you wake up and you're like, okay, let's just say like you want to read your Bible in the morning and you want to do 30 minutes. That's not realistic when you're starting out. Like no one wants to wake up at 5:30 in the morning and read their Bible. I understand. Yeah. So you say, okay, I'm going to let's say you work at 6:30 and you have to leave by 6. Let's wake up at 5:45 and you read your Bible for 5 minutes and you leave by 6. The next day you wake up at 5:40. You make the change over time and you will notice the posture of your heart slowly shifting, because I feel like people get caught up in having to go from 0 to 10 and having to do it super fast. And we're humans of routine. Yeah. Like we're very like, I'm already in this routine, I can't change.
And habit.
And so truly, like when you want to steward your life, you have to make a shift towards kingdom and not yourself. And we've talked about that before, but really saying like, I'm not living my life for me. Yeah. I'm living my life for Christ. And if that means being in uncomfortable situations and developing new friendships within the church, or, holding the doors for someone and saying hello, or waking up a little bit earlier to read my Bible, over time, those aren't going to feel like have-tos. It's going to feel like a shift of kingdom.
Yeah.
And God is just asking you to take your time, because he's going to be with you every step of the way.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're not a morning person, do it on your lunch break. Do it at night, and make those little changes. You just said something and I had something and I lost it. But making those little changes and checking that posture of your heart every single day.
Challenge yourself too. There's a season of my life where I was always very like, why do I have to do this? This sucks. And I just had to be like, no, like I get to do this. And even though I'm, not listening to secular music and I'm only listening to worship music, let me take that opportunity to listen to Christ. And it's today made me a much healthier and happier person and Christian.
Yeah. I remember what it was. You said, maybe it's a little uncomfortable for me. One of my biggest sayings that I say all the time is, if you're comfortable, you need to change something.
Yeah.
Because as human beings, our nature is to want to be comfortable. Would I rather be in sweatpants than jeans? Probably. I'm just kidding. That's not a real reference. But if you're comfortable, that can lead to complacency. And in complacency, you're not moving, you're not evolving, you're not changing. Do one little thing that pokes a little bit of discomfort into you, and watch the shift and change that will come into your life. It's the second you get comfortable, it's okay. It's okay to be comfortable in certain things, but when it comes to your faith, and when it comes to stewardship, and when it comes to what we're talking about today, feeling a little bit uncomfortable is okay. By human nature, it feels wrong. But just know the growth that comes from just the tiniest bit of discomfort.
Definitely.
You'll say, wait, I kind of like the result of that. It wasn't fun at the beginning, but I kind of want, I want more of that now. Another perfect example of posture.
Yeah.
Everything goes towards the light. So when flowers grow, Stephanie read the other day a poem about sunflowers and how when they're growing, and the investment of when they're planted and when they grow, their posture turns toward the sun. And she said she had a reference to the sun is the representation of the Lord. Posture yourself toward the sun, posture yourself towards the Lord, because that's where the growth happens. And it was just a beautiful, it just came up in my mind, but they naturally grow towards the sun. Let yourself be that representation. Let yourself grow to where the Lord is calling you to go, and let that be the posture and the shift and change. And don't have your nose in the corner like Eeyore, just, and step out of your comfort zone, feel a little bit uncomfortable, and follow through. Follow through.
Sometimes when you get comfortable, you are no longer sowing seeds and planting seeds. And you are staying in like your group of people. And though that's really great, and though those people need to be in your life, don't forget that you got to plant seeds in other people. Because it's not only going to grow you, it's going to grow that person. And I've really been challenged in that way, and growing into different positions. And it's hard and it's not easy, but it's not about you. It's about the kingdom. And it will take time to think like that.
And that relates back to, where did you hear it from? Or have we gotten?
So at the beginning, we talked about how Trevor said, why do you think like that? And he used the parable, and he just kind of talked about how when the parable says they gave money, and this guy was like, well, I kept the money because you're an angry king. Don't quote me. It's not actually what it says. It's just kind of my interpretation. But Trevor said, like, why do you think like that? Like, no one told you to think like that. So,
So on that, the point that I thought of that I just remembered now is, be careful where you're retaining your information from, because there's a lot of false information out there. The true source is in the Bible or other credible sources. We're in a series of book club right now, and Trevor always says, no, this is not the Bible. I don't support exactly everything.
You can chew up the fish and spit out the bones. Just like this. You can listen to what we're saying. You can chew it up and spit it out and not do anything. We're just trying to help you champion your season and your journey of life, and how to give you practical ways to steward and to be challenged. And shifting your mindset, and it takes time.
Absolutely.
We're not going to sit here and point the finger at you and tell you have to do it tomorrow.
No, because I can sit here and do this too.
Yeah.
There are little ways to grow in every single person every single day to be able to steward your life in the way of the Lord to benefit the kingdom.
I feel like we could talk about this all day
We
long.
could.
But I think just from both of our hearts, I want to challenge you with, when something happens during the week, challenge yourself to look at it as an opportunity and to steward your time and your talent and your treasure. There's so many great points from this weekly focus, but this was what was on our hearts, and we just want to leave you with that. Our challenge for you guys is to read Luke 16 and 19 and Matthew 25. Those are parables to just kind of challenge you for this week.
They're awesome.
I'm so glad you were here.
Thank you so much for having me. It was great getting to spend time with you guys today.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll be back.
I hope so.
Bye, guys. We'll see you next Wednesday.
Bye.